I had questions for both senators. Senate Bill 5926, which would have expanded the public records exemption that Senator Wellman had said came forward because of stakeholder concerns over the privacy and safety of child care providers in non-residential settings. Republicans had argued that it would hinder the gathering of facts, withholding information from the public. It sounds like that bill is not going to get a hearing, according to Senator Wellman's office. Can either of you explain why it won't get a hearing?
I will tell you I have not tracked that bill. I don't believe that's been referred to my committee, but I can look into that. That wasn't on my radar.
Do you believe that these are regulations, these are records that should get more sunshine or less sunshine?
I have no idea what that bill says, so I will have to get back to you. We're day 2 of session. So if her office has said she's not seeking a hearing, I'm inclined to believe her. But that is not a bill that's been referred to Law and Justice.
I know the House Speaker was very defiant on Friday, talking about any sort of allegations of fraud. There are also allegations of records getting deleted from state websites. Have either of you heard anything about the deletion of records from state websites as it pertains to child care centers?
I think the only
seems
thing
to be an expertise that the federal government has, not us. I mean, we can always look at those things, but that is something that the federal government is doing over and over and over again. I find these allegations in Washington State, listen, people who just raise the issue of fraud when they have actually no substance behind what it is they're saying. We have so many checks. And I mean, if you look at the number of audits that have been being done by DCYF in childcare, it's extraordinary. Now, one of the things that's most important to remember is that every Washingtonian, every family who's getting childcare deserves the right to have high quality childcare in this state. And if there are allegations, we have multiple systems in this state, everything from the audits and the investigations that are done by DCYF to our state auditor to the Joint Legislative Audit Review Committee. We have lots of opportunities for that. But for people to go out and knock on the door of child care centers and demand to see kids, I was just having to calm down Representative Stonier about what would have happened if somebody did that with regard to her children. It's a little bit, it just seems like it's scraping the bottom of the barrel to just raise random allegations of fraud. Now, we want to hear about real allegations with some substance behind them about what people think it is. But this is creating a huge lack of safety in our state, and this is one of the reasons why you see all these requests for public records exemptions, is because of the safety concerns that are raised by individuals going out and just attacking or engaging with somebody in a highly, highly inappropriate way. Sorry for interrupting, Senator.
And I would add that these are small businesses that are operating in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and when you have parents dropping off and picking up babies and toddlers in a situation where there are folks out there demanding to see documentation that ought to be covered by regulators in our state, this state has for a long time invested in, cared about, and even passed a revenue source to ensure that families in this community have access to childcare and early learning opportunities for their children. So yeah, we certainly do take seriously whether or not those dollars are going to that high quality care. We've invested in that and talked about it for years. But I certainly do not want anybody thinking that they can go knocking on a child care center, talking to the people who are caring for those children outside of the regulations that we have in place already, especially given the environment we're in right now. We just got done talking about people getting kidnapped off the streets. Are we serious here? If there's concern, we'll bring them up. We have an independently elected auditor that can look into those kinds of things. And we see that solved over and over again.
Well, with all due respect, as one of the reporters who did some door knocking, never demanding to see a child. If anybody demanded to see a kid, that would be highly unusual, I don't think.
I'm glad you agree with that.
Right, and that never happened, that I'm aware of, even all the stuff posted online. But when you do knock on a door that's a taxpayer-subsidized child care center that's received hundreds of thousands of dollars over a couple of months' time, there's no evidence of a child care center, as a reporter, I have every right to knock on that door and say, you're getting a heck of a lot of money, or are you actually watching kids? And you've got all
My
these
two
places-
kids went to an in-home child care center. The woman who ran it is still to this day called Grandma Cindy by my kids in their
My kids
20s.
go to home care center too.
There's not a lock. There's not a gate going up to that front door. All of the regulations in the back for keeping the kids safe is in place. But if you were knocking on that door and I found out about it, I would lose my mind. That is a home. That is a home where a business operates to care for toddlers.
If it's a taxpayer subsidized daycare, we have every right to knock on the door and say, are you a legit operation?
The Department of Children, Youth, and Families audits all of them every year. Did you report that to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families?
Right.
Or did you write a story about it?
They have performed audits and the findings have not been acted upon. That I have reported on.
So when you went and knocked on a in-home family child care center, did you report that there was nobody there to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families?
That there was no one from DCYF?
No, that there was. You said that there was no daycare going on there.
Right, there was no daycare.
And did you report that to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families so they could follow up?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I look forward to hearing that because they audit every child care center every year, and they haven't found that instances of the kind of fraud that has been alleged.
I think, Carlene, what my point is you may have the right to do that. It's not right to do that. We have systems in Washington State that people should report fraud to. At the same time, that all of this is going on, we have people being scooped up off of the street. We have a former speaker in Minnesota who opened the door to what she thought was a law enforcement agent, which was somebody dressed up,
I think it was
and
a
it
little
wasn't.
different.
And I get that you think it's different, and now she's dead. She's been assassinated. So it is right for people to be concerned about those they don't know coming to their home, knocking on their door, asking to see things. It's right for that concern to happen, and it's also right for any time someone has a concern about fraud or abuse happening in a child care center to report it to DCYF, to report it to a legislator, to report it to the state auditor. There are a lot of options for reporting and auditing in this state, and that's the way that things should be operating.
And I want to be very clear. People in their private homes have a right not to open their front door, especially to people they don't recognize. And I can't tell you how many times in the last year I have said, please don't let the facts get in the way of your opinions. And I think we are responsible if we actually make sure we're following the facts in this state and not what is happening and being politicized in the rest of the country. That is how we make sure we govern appropriately and responsibly, is when we're actually following the facts.
I would really hate to see our work go backwards by having fewer in-home child care centers by high-quality providers because they find it's going to be expensive to put up fences and walls and cameras to ensure that the people who are coming to their location are either the families who are supposed to be there or the state regulators who are supposed to be there.
And we have
That would be an
immigrants-
increased cost that I don't think we could handle.
And we have immigrants that are providing in-home care. And if people in this state don't recognize how scary it is right now for immigrants, there are people I know who don't leave their house without their passport and ID. Can you imagine that in this America? That you have to carry your ID to prove you're a citizen if you go for a walk or a run? Everyone should be appalled and shocked. So yes, having a random person knock on someone's door and expecting them to open the door is completely unacceptable in today's climate.
And Speaker, just to follow up on what you were saying about the deletion of records, there's been a filing in Thurston County by your colleague on the Republican side, Jim Walsh, alleging that records have been deleted from state websites. Are you aware of any sort of records getting deleted from state websites?
I'm not aware, and the GOP chair says a lot of things and files a lot of things. So I mean, we'll see. He's perfectly entitled to do that, and I'm not aware of that, and we'll have to see what the circumstances are, if any, surrounding it.